Okay, hello. Our topic for today is about gross income. Before we discuss in detail the lesson about gross income, let us first recall our previous lessons. So we have here four situations and we have to answer. First question is, a British computer expert was hired by a Philippine corporation to assist in its computer system installation, for which he had to stay in the Philippines for 6 months. The question is he a resident alien? So is it a yes or a no? So the answer is one who comes to the Philippines for a definite purpose for which in its nature would require an extended stay, and to that end makes his home temporarily in the Philippines, becomes a resident. So the answer is yes, he is a resident alien. The reason is, magstay siya sa Philippines with a definite purpose. And kailangan niya magstay and mag-reside sa Philippines. So hindi naman pwede na uwian siya. Okay, so even though meron siyang intention na umuwi or bumisita sa bansa niya, but the nature of his work, ayan nga, may definite purpose and kailangan niya magstay, that's why he is considered as a resident alien. Next situation, a Korean performer was engaged to perform in the Philippines for 2 weeks, after which he returned to his country. Is he a resident alien? So answer is no. One who comes to the Philippines for a definite purpose, which in its nature may be promptly accomplished, is a transient. So yung purpose niyan, which is mag-conduct ng performance sa Philippines, ay mabilis lang na natapos. Kaya hindi siya considered or classified as a resident alien. Okay, third, an alien who owns a share of stock in the Philippines, is he considered as engaged in business or trade in the Philippines? Ano nga yung rule natin when it comes to engage in trade or business? Di ba dapat daw nagstay sa Philippines for more than 180 days? Okay, so however, when it comes to shares of stock, it does not constitute as being engaged in trade or business in the Philippines. Kasi para siyang naglagay lang ng investment and nag-wait lang ng dividends. Okay, last scenario. A resident alien left the Philippines and abandoned his residency thereof without any intention of returning. May he still be considered as a resident alien? So, of course not, kasi wala na yung intention niya na magstay pa sa Philippines or mag-return sa Philippines. Okay, so now we will proceed with the definition or discussion of gross income. So when it says gross income, it is composed of all income derived from whatever source. So lahat daw ng pinagkakakitaan ng isang individual or ng isang company. So it may include, ayan, compensation for services in whatever form paid. Yung sahod daw sa isang tao, pwedeng paid in cash, paid in promissory note, or kahit paid in kind. Kasama din daw po yung income from business, trade, or practice of profession. So kasama yan yung mga kita sa negosyo. Gains derived from dealings in property. So halimbawa, nagbenta ka ng lupa. Okay, yung kita mo doon, kasama yun sa gross income. Also included are interests, rents, and dividends, as well as royalties. So royalties, ito yung kita ng mga writer, ng mga singer, and composer. So bawat benta ng products nila, part doon mapupunta sa kanila. Kasama din po ang annuities, prizes, and winnings. So halimbawa, nanalo ka sa lotto or sa pageant, kasama sa gross income. pati din daw po yung pensions ng ating retirees, and share ng partners sa net income ng GPP or General Professional Partnership. And of course, kasama din sa gross income yung other income, such as in merger and consolidation. So now let's discuss one by one yung special rules for or on gross income. Let's start with the compensation for personal services. So yung personal services may be paid in cash, paid in kind, at minsan din nakakatanggap din daw ng tips and gratuities ang ating mga nagpo-provide ng personal services. So kapag paid in cash daw, ayan. Ang kasama sa gross income is the actual amount paid. And of course, yun din ay magiging taxable. Paano naman daw kapag paid in kind? So, nagtrabaho ka. Halimbawa, nag-tutor ka. Tapos, ang binayad sa'yo, kasi medyo matagal ka daw na panahon na nag-tutor, ang binayad na lang sa'yo ay cellphone or tablet. So, in that case, yung compensation income is the fair market value of the property received. Yan yung kasama sa iyong gross income, and yun din ang masasama sa pag-compute ng iyong tax dues. So, when it comes naman sa tips and gratuities, ayan, taxable din daw. So, ito daw yung tips and gratuities paid directly to an employee by a customer. So, halimbawa, yung waiter sa isang restaurant, binigyan ng tip. So, kasama yon sa idadag niya sa kanyang salaries para maging part ng gross income. Okay, next situation is compensation paid in promissory note. So, nagtrabaho yung isang tao and walang cash na pangbayad sa kanya yung humingi ng services niya, kaya nagbigay na lang ng promissory note. So, ibig sabihin, inutang muna yung bayad sa kanya. So, in that case daw, ang kasama daw sa gross income is the fair discounted value. If the note can be discounted, the fair market value of note upon receipt is the fair discounted value. Okay, let's look at an example. So in 2023, Eddie received from Juan a promissory note with a face value of 100,000 pesos for services rendered. The note will mature after 1 year. At the time of receipt in 2023, the note was sold to a bank at a discount of 18%. Juan paid the note upon maturity in 2024. So, si Eddie daw, merong ginawang service para kay Juan and walang pangbayad si Juan kaya nagbigay muna siya ng promissory note. Kailangan na ni Eddie ng pera kaya dinala niya muna yun sa bangko. So, ito yung ibig sabihin na the note was sold to a bank at a discount of 18%. So, magkano daw ang income na subject to tax in 2023? So, since naging discounted yung promissory note, ibabawas natin sa face value yung discount, computed as 100,000 times 18%, and ibabawas natin yun sa face value. Yung natanggap ni Eddie na 82,000, yun yung magiging income subject to tax niya in 2023. Paano naman sa 2024 kung kailan nagbayad si Juan? So, ang taxable na lang kay Eddie is yung natirang 18,000 pesos. Special rule is about transportation, representation, and other allowances received by officials or employees. So, minsan yung mga empleyado ng isang company, kailangan nilang mag-travel and, ayun, meron din silang transportation allowance. So, sa government, ang tawag dun ay RATA, representation and transportation allowances. Sa private companies naman, depende sa policy ng company. Pero kung meron man, ayan, normally, nagkakaroon ng ganitong allowances yung mga officer, especially yung representation. So, ano nga ba ang special rule? So, ang general rule daw is yung mga allowances taxable as compensation income. So, ibig sabihin, i-add yun sa gross income. Except daw kung, ayan, ordinary and necessary expenses of the employer, paid or incurred in the pursuit of trade, business, or profession, and the employee is required to account or liquidate. Okay, pagdating naman daw sa kung halimbawa naman daw, nag-cash advance yung empleyado bago siya mag-travel and sobra yung cash advance sa actual expenses incurred, taxable income daw yung sobra kung hindi na binalik ng empleyado sa kanyang employer. Pagdating naman sa vacation and sick leave allowances, yung naririnig natin na VLSL, ayan, taxable din daw yon. Except kung i-convert mo sa pera yung mga leave credits mo. Basta daw hindi susubra sa 10 days. So, para yun sa mga private companies. So, let's look at an example. Okay, Leon was sent by his manager for a 2-day official business in Manila. He was given 10,000 pesos to answer for whatever expenses he will incur in connection with his travel. So, itong 10,000, ito yung tinatawag natin na cash advance. Okay, when he returned back to Iraq, he liquidated the following expenses. So, sabi ni Leon, ito po yung mga pinagkakagastosan ko doon. Okay, pamasahe, 2,000. Hotel accommodation, 2,000. Meals, 1,500. Tapos nakipag-happy-happy daw siya sa barkada niya. Ang ginastos niya lang is 500 pesos. So, total nagastos niya is 6,000. So, ibig sabihin meron daw sobrang 4,000 doon sa kanyang cash advance na 10,000. Kaso, ang nangyari, pagkabalik niya, a day after his arrival, he had a flu and was forced to go on leave for 2 weeks. Okay, despite his absence, meron naman siyang mga leave credits, kaya sumahod pa rin naman siya for that month amounting to 13,000 pesos. So, based daw sa given information, assuming na yung sobrang 4,000 ay binalik sa employer, how much income is subject to tax? So, general rule, taxable yon. And alalahanin natin yung mga exception. So, una, ordinary expense of the employer. Pangalawa, expense for the conduct of trade or business. And pangatlo, binalik nga sa employer. So, tingnan natin yung sagot. Okay, ang taxable daw, amount spent with barkada na 500 and yung salary and other allowances na 13,000 pesos. Okay, yung bus fare, hotel accommodation, and meals, hindi siya taxable kasi incurred in the pursuit of business. Tapos, syempre, niliquidate niya din. And yung 500, yan, hindi naman yun, yung spent with barkada, okay, hindi naman yun connected sa business or dun sa trabaho niya. And the salary received while on a 2-week sick leave is taxable kasi considered yun as salary. Another special rule on gross income is about condonation of debt. So, ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng condonation? Okay, para siyang ipinaubaya. Ipinaubaya mo na yung pautang mo at hindi mo na pinabayad yung taong may pagkakautang sa iyo. So, ang synonym ng condonation of debt is cancellation of debt. So, ang treatment niya depende sa sitwasyon. So, daw, if the debtor rendered services to the creditor. Halimbawa daw, hindi na pinabayad yung nangutang pero nag-provide siya ng service. Kapag ganun daw, yun ay magiging taxable income to the debtor. Kasi parang ang nangyari, pinasahod siya ng creditor and ipinangbayad niya dun sa kanyang utang. Kapag naman there is no service rendered, yun ay magiging taxable to the creditor as a gift given to the debtor. So, akalain mo yon, hindi niya na nga pinabayad yung pinautang niya, siya pa yung matatax. Okay? Another scenario is, kung ang nagpautang daw yung corporation and ang nangutang is a stockholder, it has the effect of payment of dividend. Pero kung ang nagpautang naman yung stockholder while the debtor is the corporation, para siyang additional investment. So parang asset na siya. So that's the case for the condonation of debt. Okay, let's look at an illustration. Sung Yo, an architect, owes Yeonjun, a businessman, 30,000 pesos. The latter, si Yeonjun, engaged the services of the former, si Song-yu, to remodel his house. The value of the services rendered amounted to 30,000 pesos. Kung mapapansin natin, pareho yung amount ng utang ni Song-yu at saka yung services na ni-render niya. So, subsequently, Yeonjun canceled the debt of Song-yu. So, ang first question, is the 30,000 value of services taxable to Song-yu? And the answer is yes. It is a simple case of paying the indebtedness to Yeonjun. Consequently, the 30,000 pesos is taxable to Song-yu. Kasi para nangyari, pinasweldo lang ni Yeonjun si Song-yu, kaya income niya yon. And yung bayad sa kanyang 30,000 na yun, ipinangbayad niya din dun sa utang niya. What if naman daw, si Yeonjun, hindi na pinabayad si Song-yu pero walang service na ginawa? Sabihin, hindi nangyari yung transaction na pina-remodel yung bahay. So kapag ganun, the condonation is purely based on the liberality of the benefactor. Therefore, it is not an income. It is a gift which is governed by the law on donors taxation. So, ito yung case na si Yeonjun, yung creditor, siya ang magiging liable sa taxes. Another special rule on gross income is about the recovery of bad debts previously deducted. So, kung naaalala natin yung mga bad debts expense na presented na as deduction sa income ng company kasi feeling nila hindi na mako-collect. So, may mga situation na paano daw kapag na-collect pala yung mga bad debts na na-recognize na as expense. So, ang rule, taxable yun kung yung deduction has reduced the tax liability of the taxpayer. Paano ba natin malalaman kung nabawasan na reduce yung tax liability ng taxpayer? So, titingnan natin kung nabawasan ba yung kanyang net income because of the write-off of bad debt. Which normally, syempre, ganun ang nangyayari kasi declared nga as expense. In case naman, walang reduction sa tax liability ng taxpayer, hindi yun magiging, yung recovery ng bad debt, hindi magiging taxable. So, let's look at some illustrations. Okay, we have here 3 cases na nangyari noong 2022. So, meron tayong income or loss before write-off of bad debts. And binawas yung bad debt written off. And we have net income or loss after bad debt. So, meron din tayong data for the year 2023, yung mga amount ng na-recover na bad debt for the 3 cases. So, tingnan muna natin yung case 1. So, una daw, meron silang income before write-off na 60,000 pesos. And, ayan, nung nag-write off siya ng 10,000 pesos, kaya ang natirang net income after bad debt is 50,000 pesos. Nung 2023, na-recover yung 10,000 na ni-write off.
So, una natin kailangan tanungin, nagkaroon ba ng tax benefit nung binawas tong 10,000? So, makikita naman natin na bawasan nga yung kanyang net income. So, ibig sabihin, mas bumaba yung binayaran niyang tax kasi lumiit nga yung net income. So, for case number 1, okay, yung recovery ng bad debt amounting to 10,000 ay magiging taxable. Kasi, yun nga, the deduction of bad debt, ito, resulted in tax benefit to the taxpayer. Punta naman tayo dito sa case 2. So, sa case 2, meron silang loss before write-off na 30,000 pesos. Tapos, nag-write-off pa siya ng bad debt na 10,000, kaya ang kinalabasan, nagkaroon ng net income after bad debt na, or net loss pala na, 40,000 pesos. Noong 2023, na-recover din yung 10,000. So, question ulit natin, nagkaroon ba ng tax benefit nung nag-write off ng bad debt? So, ang answer dito, walang naging tax benefit kasi dati nang loss yung company. Ibig sabihin, wala na siyang babayarang income tax dati pa kahit hindi niya ni-write off yung bad debt. So, for case 2, hindi magiging taxable yung na-recover na 10,000 kasi yung original write-off niya hindi nag-result sa tax benefit. Okay? Proceed tayo sa case 3. Okay, meron naman siyang income before write-off na 60,000 pero nag-write-off siya ng 100,000. And ang naging resulta, nagkaroon siya ng net loss after bad debt na 40,000 pesos. So, buti naman na-recover daw yung 100,000 noong 2023. Okay, nagkaroon ba ng tax benefit? Yes po, kasi dati ang tax base niya 60,000 tapos naging negative, so wala na siyang binayarang tax. Kaso, hanggang ang naging tax benefit niya lang is up to 60,000. Kaya sa case 3, magiging taxable lang up to 60,000 pesos kasi yun lang yung naging benefit sa taxpayer. So that's a special rule when it comes to recovery of bad debts previously deducted. So when it comes to dividend income, kapag daw natanggap yung dividend by domestic corporation from another domestic corporation, not taxable. Kapag received by resident foreign corporation from a domestic corporation, not taxable. Nagkakaiba lang daw kapag ang nakatanggap ay non-resident foreign corporation, wherein kakaroon sila ng 25% na tax. Okay, for your assignment, ayan, read the rest of the module, answer the exercises na upload sa Google Classroom, and it will be due next meeting before the start of classes. So, isabit na po agad, and ayan. Use black ball pen only, and kung yung yellow pad nyo ay manipis, wag na pong gamitin back to back kasi mahirap basahin. And of course, present solution in good form. Okay, wag na pong gagamit ng friction pen, tapos pagdating ko magre-rewrite pa. So, kung gusto nyo mag-rewrite, i-rewrite na bago pa tayo mag-start ng classes. So, according to Alfred Newman, today, it takes more brains and effort to make out the income tax form than it does to make the income. Sabi niya, mas madali pa daw maghanap ng pagkakakitaan kaysa mag-file ng income taxes. So, if you will learn paano mag-file ng income taxes, you will be in an advantage. So, thank you for listening.